Hello and welcome back from on top of the wall. My name is Mason, your favorite Mason, don't you forget it. Today we're talking about another Pauper deck. Surprise! The number one thing that we talk about on this channel, Pauper. We're talking about another Pauper deck and it is our 21st episode. Super happy about that. Super glad that I've been doing it for that long. And these decks are getting a little bit better as time goes on, just because I'm forcing myself to build better and more decks, just more frequently. And the deck that we're doing today is this fun Boros build that's very aggressive, mid-rangey, if you want to call it that. It has a lot of artifact themes in it, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It's called Reckless Legion. And if you can tell by the art behind here, this might give you the general idea and the theme of the deck. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, let's just get right into it. Our namesake card of the deck is Reckless Fireweaver. It's this 2 mana cost creature with a nice body, a 1/3, and it has a lot of incidental damage. Every time that you have an artifact enter the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And keep in mind, there's artifact lands in the format. Literally just by playing a land, it can ping an opponent, and then you play an artifact creature or an artifact that's in the deck. We have 32 artifacts, by the way, or more than half the deck is just artifacts, and we can cycle through their enter the battlefield triggers, and it's fantastic to just like go, artifact, ping you for 1, land, ping you for 1, another artifact, ping you for 1. And that is a full lightning bolt. That is a full lightning bolt when almost every opponent that you play leads to another ping. It's not hard to see why we can have all these great creatures on the battlefield and all this damage, and very quickly every single card in the deck can equal out to be almost lethal. And the artifacts that we're playing in this deck are value artifacts. Most of them draw us a card. We have Alchemist Vial, we have Prophetic Prism. Prophetic Prism is just a good way to filter a mana, while Alchemist Vial is an interesting little manipulative card for combat. Can prevent a creature from attacking or blocking in a turn. It draws us that card. Well, Ichor Wellspring and Mycosynth Wellspring, both of them maintain our hand size as we play them and get us that ping, but they also have something when they leave the battlefield, when they're put into the graveyard from the battlefield. And we do have some ways to sacrifice artifacts in this deck, as you'll see coming up, and they're very interesting for that, and can get us additional value without having to pay the additional mana that these other ETB trigger artifacts will cost us. And now for our creatures, the value creatures that'll help us cycle through these ETBs and help establish a good board state. Glinthawk and Core Skyfisher. Oh wow, can't believe you saw that one coming. Oh man, they're just like classic cards in Pauper. Oh man, can't believe anybody saw that coming. These are just good creatures that give us a lot of value by allowing us to recycle our ETB effects by returning our artifacts to our hand and get us an additional ping. So they actually give us more value than in a Kodaltha Boros deck. Then we have a couple of Thraven Inspectors. They're okay. Honestly, I couldn't figure out a better way to like fill out the curve than with these 1-drops, and I felt like they were the best thing that we could be doing for 1 mana in this deck to get a trigger with the Reckless Fireweaver and to get a clue token to draw the card, while at the same time they're not necessarily the best over-the-top thing that we could be doing, and I don't really want any more of them. I feel that there's just better cards that we could be playing. Then we have a full playset of Porcelain Legionnaire. Porcelain Legionnaire is a 3/1 with first strike, and I love this creature. It is a very powerful creature, and virtually the opposite of our Reckless Fireweaver, which does incidental damage. Our Porcelain Legionnaire, our secondary namesake card obviously, it's just meant to actually deal most of its damage just up front in combat and maintain a strong presence in combat. So we have good creatures that are able to block and good creatures that are able to attack. And you can kind of see with this deck, we're mainly like focused on creating this strong board presence with a lot of incidental pings and card advantage. And we're very quickly able to create this board state that puts our opponent into a very, very low life total, where many of our creatures just swinging in can be lethal or almost lethal, which turns out can be done as early as turn 5 or 6. Now for our disruption, we have Sting Scourger, Angelic Purge, and Galvanic Blast. Galvanic Blast, just a stronger version of Lightning Bolt in this deck. We have heavy artifacts, very easy to get Metalcraft with all of our artifact lands, all the artifact creatures, and artifacts that give us value. Angelic Purge is our primary way of sacrificing the Ichor Wellsprings or Mycosynth Wellsprings. It's only 2 of, but it's very powerful incidental removal. I mean unconditional removal. Sting Scourger is a strong creature that is just for 2 mana. It's a 2/2, bounces a creature our opponents control to their hand, and we pay 4 mana as its echo cost at the beginning of our next upkeep. So if we play this, then follow up with a Core Skyfisher to immediately return it to our hand. We don't have to pay the echo cost. And then next turn, we can just follow up, play it again, and force our opponent to have this large tempo loss of just bouncing their biggest creature, bouncing their most expensive creature, ruining combat, or catching up. Let's talk about our mana base now, the way that we're going to pay for all this and how we're going to be able to afford to play all these spells in quick succession and build up an early board presence and start getting in tons of little pings and incidental damage from all of our stuff. We're playing 4 Springleaf Drums, just a 1 mana artifact, and we can tap a creature and a Springleaf Drum to produce 1 mana of any color that we would like. This fixes our mana and can produce us an additional mana by turning one of our creatures into a mana dork for the turn. It does actually a pretty good imitation of Aether Vial when compared to like the modern decks. And then we have all of our artifact lands. We have our Ancient Dens, Darksteel Citadels, and Great Furnaces, just keeping that artifact count high. And when they enter the battlefield, they ping our opponent, which is fantastic to just go play land, ping. It's like having landfall on a creature, which is great. And we have our basic lands for the Ichor Wellspring of Plains, Mountains, and a Wingscarred Crag to help fight against burn and help us stabilize early. Just great as a color fixer. Best dual lands that we have in the format, really. Now for our sideboard this time, I want to include Electrickery for elves and smaller token decks that have been popping up in the format. I felt like it was very important to make sure that they couldn't outpace us too quickly, so having Electrickery was nice. While the Leave No Trace is for Boggles and Enchantress, there is an argument for Standard Bearer in the list instead of the Leave No Trace, but I prefer the Leave No Trace instead because Gutshot is something that a lot of Boggles lists will play in the sideboard just to like have a way to deal with the Standard Bearer, so I wanted to have this way around that. And then we have Molten Rains to help fight through Tron. Fighting through Tron is just so important nowadays to just have a way to fight through Tron. And it deals a little extra damage, which is nice. Then we got 2 Relic of Progenitus, also to fight through Tron, and a lot of graveyard decks, like there's the Blue-Black Delver and some Blue-Black Control decks, and really anything with Gurmag Angler. It doesn't hurt to have Relic of Progenitus. And then Pyroblast to help fight through blue decks. Can't fight blue enough, can never fight blue enough. Destroys a blue permanent or counters a blue spell for 1 red mana, very strong. Then we have Prismatic Strands to help fight through any kind. Then we have Prismatic Strands. It's just a fog, basically, that we can reuse by flashbacking it from the graveyard. You know, tap a white creature, flash it back. But the interesting part is that it says you choose a color and you prevent damage that would be dealt to you from sources of that color. So we can name white, and we can choose just white in our match against a Tireless Tribe, and being able to flash it back from our graveyard. Even when they try to tap us down, it's much, much harder because you have to tap down all the white creatures and the lands to prevent us from casting Prismatic Strands and have counter spells up or have some kind of combination of the two, and it doesn't even target Tireless Tribe. It doesn't target Tireless Tribe at all. So when they play cards that specifically counter spells that target permanents they control or targets them or something, we get around those counter spells, which is very fringe, but I felt like this was a great way to break through that combo. Even if they have Shadow Rift, even if they have ways to get past all of our creatures. Lone Missionary is our last sideboard card. It is just a strong life gain spell that we can cycle its ETB using Core Skyfisher. Sorry, I stumbled over myself. And when we're able to reuse that ETB, we're able to fight through burn, and we're able to fight through decks that just want to fling a giant ATOG at us, and we're able to really get out of the danger zone with a lot of the very aggressive decks. And that is it for this deck. Big thanks to my new subscribers, Jerry Bush, Patzo, and Hat Dog. I want to thank you guys. Let me know if you want to see anything in the next video, any particular kind of deck, or anything that you would eventually like me to do, maybe with streaming or anything at all. Just go ahead, leave a comment below, or hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, anything you like, and be prepared next week. I think I'm going to do another Storm deck. Thanks for watching. Tim will be back next week. Come on in for that face touch.